Meet the presidents and owners of sport. When being a billionaire becomes incredibly boring, a sports franchise might make a decent pastime for a wealthy entrepreneur who literally has everything. But when that pastime becomes an unquenchable passion for the team they bought or preside over, trades are made, pockets are emptied, and the sky's the limit. Deals may be made behind closed doors, but no boardroom can hide from the truth. For some, money is no object. And when that's the case, rather than have it sit in a vault on an island in the middle of nowhere, why not spend it? Maybe a mansion is in order. Like Kensington Palace Gardens. Purchased by steel tycoon Lakshmi Mittal for $222 million in 2008, it's now worth $16.5 billion. Or perhaps that shopping list could include dropping in excess of $300 million on a super yacht.
She's a fast boat for her size, go anywhere. You're one place one night, you're somewhere else for breakfast the next morning. The world literally is your oyster.
A few have even settled for a sports franchise.
One, I love basketball. No, I never really played. I basically got cut from the freshman team. But I love basketball.
But of all the teams who boast these billionaire owners in American sport, there is just one that is owned by the fans. NFL's Green Bay Packers. According to the team's official website, Green Bay Packers Incorporated has been a publicly owned, non-profit corporation since August 18, 1923, when original articles of incorporation were filed with Wisconsin's Secretary of State. Since then, they've accumulated over 360,000 stockholders, totaling over 5 million shares. Some of those are even owned by former US President Barack Obama, who supports the hated Chicago Bears.
Of course, all of the fans on the team, and it hurts us a little bit to give you this as well. But we give you shares of the Green Bay Packers.
Man, that is outstanding.
The curious thing about these owners is that it's highly unlikely that any of them own any of the aforementioned riches. Rather, they're comfortable calling themselves cheeseheads, frequently braving sub-zero temperatures to cheer their favorite athletes, and essentially employees to victory. Coming up, the biggest gunslinger in Texas. Welcome to the biggest state in the United States that isn't Alaska. The Lone Star State of Texas. Known for its oil, cattle, and cowboys, it's a proud population that also loves their guns. Hence, you don't mess with Texas. Guns have played an integral part of its history, like in the Battle of the Alamo.
The Alamo is one of those unique places in Texas history and in a lot of a culture that it's personal.
The Spanish mission fell to Mexican troops, but the rally cry, "Remember the Alamo," spurred the smaller Texas army to defeat the Mexicans and win independence.
You think of independence and you think of Texas.
Then there was the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963.
This was the most extensive criminal investigation ever conducted in the history of the United States.
A gunshot by Lee Harvey Oswald from the Texas School Book Depository killed America's 35th president, although conspiracy theorists may claim otherwise.
Certainly, the shots came from more than one direction. There had to be a conspiracy.
And on a lighter note, how could you forget the cliffhanger from the soap opera Dallas, which left the nation wondering who shot JR?
Yeah, everybody wanted to know who shot JR. And I moved to England for a couple of months and held out.
These days, their gunslingers are celebrated on the football field. In 2016, the NFL's Dallas Cowboys ranked #1 by Forbes magazine as the world's most valuable sports team. Valued at $4 billion, they can boast the claim to fame thanks to the profits generated from the $1.15 billion facility the team plays in, AT&T Stadium, as well as the marketing genius of one man. Its owner, Jerry Jones.
I want them when they walk in here to say, that's my Dallas Cowboys. That's what this is about.
Completed in May 2009, the football cathedral many call Jerry's World has a maximum capacity of over 105,000 people and is somewhat symbolic of Jones himself. Acting with brazen assurance, he purchased the club in 1989 for $140 million before unceremoniously firing their faltering but legendary coach, Tom Landry. Then, like the second most expensive stadium built in the NFL, the billionaire oilman from Arkansas quickly set out to outspend the competition. And it truly did pay off. He won 2 straight Super Bowls in 1993 and 1994 before a hard salary cap was implemented. With his super team already in place, he managed one more championship in the 90s, Super Bowl 30 in 1996. But like his stadium, Jones doesn't come without a few quirky faults. AT&T Stadium houses one of the world's largest high-definition video screens. It's breathtaking and behemoth, which means kickers run the risk of hitting it on punts. Not unless, of course, you listen to Jones.
You really don't kick it down the field, down the middle. You kick it to the side. Nobody with any sense kicks it down the middle.
That said, a lot of people question Jones's sense as a president, and the league has twice fined him for shooting his mouth off. But he's changed the way NFL teams operate in terms of television revenue and turned America's game into a money-making machine. In 2016, Jones used some of that money to build a practice facility for the ages, giving him the best seat in the house.
Well, here we are in Jerry's office, and as you can see, he has a pretty spectacular view over both fields this way, to our north and also to our east. You see the coaches' offices and the weight room and the player activity that will come in and out of that space. So this is the first time Jerry will actually get to oversee practice and overlook practice.
The Dallas Cowboys have always had the famous cheerleaders, the famous brand, and some of the greatest athletes to play the game. Add to that their hard-charging owner with a brilliant marketing mind, and America's team may be its richest for quite some time. Some sports owners are the best, others the worst. One baseball franchise has experienced both. The Boston Red Sox were World Series champions when Harry Frazee bought the team in 1916 for $500,000. The Bo Sox had already won 2 other titles, in 1912 and 1915, and then took home yet another one in 1918. So far, so good. Then in 1919, Frazee did the unthinkable, selling the Sultan of SWAT and superstar Babe Ruth to the hated New York Yankees for $125,000. And then things went bad fast. Because while Frazee used the money to fund his failed Broadway pet project, No No Nanette, Ruth turned the previously pathetic Yankees into a multiple World Series champion, winning 4 times with the Bronx Bombers. Meanwhile, the curse of the Bambino left the Boston Red Sox without a World Series title. That's until a young New York City-born, Boston-bred attorney came along and finally put an end to the 86-year misery. Theo Epstein became the youngest general manager in MLB history when he took the reins as a 28-year-old in 2002. Epstein quickly went to work to put a stop to the curse. He boldly went out and got Arizona's Curt Schilling, one of the greatest big-game starting pitchers of his generation, and Oakland's Keith Falk, the preeminent closer in the American League. He then bravely moved the face of the franchise, Red Sox legend Nomar Garciaparra, in 2004, for infielders Orlando Cabrera from Montreal and first baseman Doug Menkiewicz from Minnesota. The move surprisingly shored up Boston's infield defense and energized the team. Before the trade, they were 56 and 45. After the trade, 42 and 19, which won them the AL wildcard spot. The moves proved fundamental, as in 2004, Boston ended the curse, sweeping St. Louis to win their first World Series since 1918. They followed that up with another title in 2007. But there was another flailing franchise that needed help. And so Epstein moved to the Chicago Cubs in 2011. As their president of baseball operations, he was intent on ending the longest drought without a World Series in baseball history.
When we build that foundation for sustained success and it ultimately results in a World Series, it's gonna be more than just a World Series. It's gonna impact a lot of people, a lot of Cubs fans, a lot of Cubs families who for generations have waited and waited for a World Series.
Whatever you say, Nostradamus. Sure, the Cubs finished last in his first 3 seasons at the helm, but soon they'd become a baseball powerhouse. After a 3-year top-to-bottom club overhaul, the Cubs clinched a playoff berth in 2015, their first since 2008. And in 2016, they'd finally end the drought. 108 years, and Chicago had themselves a World Series crown.
I totally respect what's happened in the past, and I totally respect our fan base. But if you just want to carry the burden with you all the time, tonight would never happen.
Despite all the player moves, perhaps Epstein's greatest coup was signing Joe Maddon as their manager.
All the young talent we had, morale started to be great, but we couldn't quite figure out how to get that kind of morale at the big league level. And then this guy became a free agent 2 years ago. I think he crushed a shot and a beer at his opening press conference. I knew we were in good shape at that point.
And with Epstein signing a 5-year extension worth up to $50 million, Theo and the Cubs seem to be in good shape for a few more years to come. After the break, the bigwigs of world football. It's the most watched football league in the world. The Premier League generates 2.2 billion euros per year in domestic and international television rights and has a potential global TV audience of nearly 4.7 billion people. Needless to say, it's been able to lure businessmen of all shapes and sizes. Some who shun the limelight, some who quite like it, and some who just seem confused by it all. No man has been able to change the landscape of the Premier League as rapidly as Russian businessman Roman Abramovich, who swooped in to buy Chelsea FC from previous owner Ken Bates.
And he started with nothing. His first job was selling toys in a flea market. So he wasn't hardly born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And he's very keen and excited about sport, especially football. And he decided, like me, if you like, 30 years ago, you want to go from a fan to being involved because it's such fun.
It sure ended up being fun for Bates, who sold for £140 million after purchasing the club in 1982 for just £1. while taking on debts of £1.5 million. Nice return on his investment.
The debts have gone, we've got the most fantastic stadium, and we're committed to taking Chelsea from being one of the elite in England, one of the elite in Europe. And so for that, we are all lucky. So, have a drink.
But Abramovich had no time to kick back. He was too busy turning the Blues into a major footballing force. Between 2003 and 2015, he won 4 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 3 Football League Cups, 2 FA Community Shields, a UEFA Champions League, and UEFA Europa League. He spent nearly £1 billion on players over that time, and inevitably, some he knocked out of the park, while others, in hindsight, he wished never set foot on his park. Winner summer signings to remember include the 2004 splash that got him Petr Cech from Rennes for £9 million, and Didier Drogba for £24 million from Marseille. Incidentally, that was the same season he brought in Jose Mourinho, the most successful manager in Chelsea history. He made some serious transfer blunders, including bringing in a broken Andrei Shevchenko from AC Milan for £30 million in 2006, and a highly inconsistent Fernando Torres for £50 million from Liverpool in 2011. But the signing splurge is proof he's keen to make Chelsea a winner, all while keeping a relatively low profile.
I think the owner profile all over these years of not to speak, I think is fabulous. I would love to do the same. I would love to be a manager and have the right of no words, no press conferences, nothing. So I think the owner has that privilege, and I think is fantastic.
The Premier League is a global football phenomenon, so it's only natural that ownership extend beyond the UK. In fact, Southeast Asian entrepreneurs have taken a liking to the league, pumping their billions into clearing debts and making a few more themselves. In Wales, Cardiff City was purchased by Malaysian businessman Vincent Tan, who controversially changed the Bluebirds' colours from blue to red and saw the team gain promotion in 2013. They were relegated after just one season, but their headstrong owner is still firmly focused on making the club debt-free by 2021.
We do have a plan. We are looking forward, and of course I've got resources, X amount, and you spend that, you don't spend X plus Y.
AirAsia owner Tony Fernandez purchased Queen's Park Rangers in 2011 for £35 million, following their promotion to top-flight English football, taking over the team from previous owners Formula One boss Bernie Ecclestone and former Renault F1 team principal Flavio Briatore.
Thank you very much for the very warm welcome I received so far. I will do my best. I'll leave no stone unturned in trying to bring QPR to higher heights.
But that dream came crashing down when the club was relegated in 2013, only to return to the Premier League 1 year later, after QPR beat Derby County 1-0 in an English Championship playoff.
It's, I've been through a lot of my life, building airlines and hotels and F1, and there was no feeling that when the whistle went. It was surreal.
They've been bouncing between the two leagues ever since, but Fernandez is determined to get his club consistently playing with the big boys.
After all I've been through, that's my middle name, Fighter Fernandez.
But none of them have been as surprisingly successful as Thai businessman Vichai Srivadhanaprabha. The billionaire CEO of King Power Duty Free bought Leicester City in 2010 after acting as their primary sponsor. In 2015, his biggest move was initially his most confusing, that of hiring Claudio Ranieri as their new manager, who was just coming off a negative 4-month experience with the Greek national team.
Trust in us. Trust in the directors and the owners of the club.
But nobody really did. And then Leicester City did the unthinkable. Overcoming 5,000 to 1 odds and all forms of football logic, the Foxes won the Premier League a year after narrowly avoiding relegation with a team that, on paper, didn't stand a chance, and an owner whose calming influence made all the difference.
Never I saw him nervous, and that is important for me because what I feel, I get to my players, and then was a very good link between everybody.
We know each other, and we live together like a family. I use Tynus when relating to them, to talk to them. I get to know their problems, and I always find a solution to their problems.
The fairy tale found great favor in Thailand, where supporters celebrated a party 132 years in the making. Having adopted the club as their own, the title proved to them that nothing is impossible. Meanwhile, in Manchester, two clubs have proven that money only makes a difference with smart management. Between Sheikh Mansour's 2008 purchase of Manchester City and 2015, they won 2 Premier League titles and 2 Football League Cups. But their real goal is to become the kings of Europe.
That is a process. It's not like this, go here, Mansour and the chairman Khaldoon, and say, okay, now we are going to create one best team in Europe. You need 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to stay there. And what we're going to try to reduce that time.
Meanwhile, there once was a time when Manchester United were the kings of Europe. And despite fans protesting a $1.47 billion takeover by American real estate mogul Malcolm Glazer, the future seemed buttered with blissful spending. In 2012, they even floated on the New York Stock Exchange.
I think the United States market clearly understand what sports business is. It's an attractive opportunity for us to bring this great club to a great market. We're looking forward to it.
But since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure in 2013, they've only managed an FA Cup. Considering they've spent hundreds of millions of pounds in transfers, an FA Cup for all that money just isn't enough. Still to come, when players become owners. When a player retires, they're exposed to a world of options. Suddenly, all that training time is replaced with free time. And for some, that free time is filled with owning a sports franchise of their own. But ownership doesn't come easy. Take the case of David Beckham. Having retired from professional football in 2013, the British cultural icon decided to exercise his option for an MLS expansion franchise and sought to build that team in Miami.
We will bring great players into this team. That's the fortunate thing about my career and the teams that I've played for and the players that I've played with. You know, players are already interested in coming to Miami. Who wouldn't want to live in Miami and to play in Miami?
Yeah, Becks, who wouldn't? The only problem is, Miami Beckham United, as the team is provisionally called, had no place to call home and no money to privately finance it. He's called upon his former employers, PSG owners Qatar Sports Investment, for help, and even reached out to LeBron James, who incidentally is an investor in Premier League side Liverpool.
We've spoke about this on the business side, but we've also spoke about this as friends as well, and you know, he wants this to succeed.
So while Beckham tried to sort out the financial details, other cities like Atlanta and Minnesota succeeded in being awarded MLS franchises. A successful transition to the boardroom is rarely meteoric. Even the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan, struggled as owner of the Charlotte franchise. During the 2011-12 NBA season, which was shortened to 66 games, the Bobcats posted a 7-59 record. Their 106 winning percentage was the worst in NBA history. Mired in mediocrity, MJ isn't deterred. Rather, he's excited by the global appeal of the sport.
I would have never thought in 1990 it would have grown this fast or this big, but we're very fortunate that the game is spread that much.
What sports fan hasn't daydreamed about owning a sports franchise? Pretty much all have at some stage, but only a wealthy handful have turned that dream into a reality. Even if that reality isn't entirely dreamy. Because money can never replace persistence and patience, nor buy championships. And that is the truth.